And we're ready to go when you are, sir.
Right. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Milford Inland Wetlands Agency for October 4th, 2023. Lisa, would you please call the roll?
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Here.
Jim Connors,
Here.
Matthew Connors,
Here.
Heather Donaldson Gladue,
Here.
Brendan Magnan, Julie Valvo,
Here.
Steve Munson.
Here. I understand Matt Connors is now a full voting member.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and he has been sworn in as of today.
Righty. All right. As we continue to host remote meetings, I wanted to take the opportunity to highlight a few guidelines to ensure business runs efficiently and that all statutory and administrative rules are followed. In accordance with the Freedom of Information Act and Governor Lamont's executive orders, this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the City of Milford website. During this meeting, if members of the Inland Wetlands Commission would like to speak, please utilize the raise your hand feature via Zoom. All participants will be muted during the meeting unless recognized by the chair. After being recognized to speak, this is referring to the members of the public, please state your name and address prior to making a statement. Speak only to items in the jurisdiction of the Milford Inland Wetlands Agency. Zoning issues are not under our review. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Rose, if you can give us a flag.
Pledge allegiance
To the
to the
flag
flag, the United States of America,
and
and to the republic
Republic
for which it stands,
One
one
nation,
nation,
nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
and
with
justice
liberty
for all.
justice.
and justice for all.
Thank you. Does any member of the public wish to make any statements on any topic not otherwise on the agenda? Hearing none, once again, does any member of the public wish to make any comments regarding any topic not otherwise on the agenda? Hearing now, we will proceed to item D. Item D1, Mary Rose.
Mr. Chairman, this is IWC 23005, the violation at 1 Avalon Drive. I don't see Mr. Capra. I don't know if there's anyone here representing Marion Residential this evening.
All right, well, I
And
would
we-
suggest that we reorder the agenda and go through items D2 and 3 before we hear D1. Would anyone like to make a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion, Steve.
Do I hear a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay, that was
Heather.
Heather. Okay, Heather, I'm sorry. We have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? None. Lisa, would you call the roll, please?
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors, Jim,
Aye. You can't hear me?
yeah, now we can. Matthew
Okay.
Connors,
Aye, if you didn't hear me.
didn't, got you now. Heather Donaldson Gladue,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. The motion carries unanimously.
Excuse me, can I just clarify who made the motion? I wasn't sure if it was Daniel Bedecker or
did.
Ranjit.
Jim.
Who did?
And I think
Okay,
Heather,
Jim,
Jim did? Okay, thank you.
I believe Heather seconded.
seconded it. Yes.
Okay, item D2, Mary Rose.
Item D2 is IWA 230060. It's 85 Viscount Drive. This is a proposal by the Heritage Village Sound folks to remove the existing tennis court and replace it with loam, seed, and hay. I had visited the property in August, met with the members of the executive board and the grounds committee. The association has voted and they would like to convert the tennis courts to just a grassed area. So the work is proposed in approximately within 50 feet of the pond that's on the property. They're proposing silt fencing and an anti-track pad along with sweeping and catch basin protection as necessary. Access to the area is through their driveway next to their maintenance building. They would like to do the work this fall. At our meeting on 9/20, the agency reviewed the project proposal and photos of the site from the a site walk on 9/19. And they decided they did not need a site walk. This evening, we have Andy Pohl, who is the association president with us to answer any questions. I just wanted to note, Mr. Chair, this is a bit of an unusual application. They're removing a structure and revegetating the area. Typically, the agency, if you were to grant a permit to this, would have a permit condition bond for site work that calls for an as-built survey by a licensed land surveyor. In this case, the result of the permit will be a grassed and vegetated area. And the agency will need to consider if they consider issuing a permit, if they want to bond this application.
All right. I'll open this up to any questions from the, do we have someone? I'm sorry, is there someone from the applicant with us tonight?
Andy Pohl, who's the chairman of the association the president of the association is here with us this evening.
Okay, Ms. Kroll, would you like to make any comments?
At this point, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. The board voted a month or two ago to remove it on a 7-2 board vote. It hasn't been used in probably 10 years or so, and you can see the condition of it. So we'd all like to just kind of take it down and plant some grass and maybe turn it into a garden. Who knows? But you know, that day will come when we'll decide what to do. In the meantime, I'd just like to tear it down.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions or comments?
Through you,
Well,
Mr. Chair. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I guess my question would be to Mary Rose in terms of do you think that we need an as-built, considering it seems like they have in writing that they're going to put all the necessary protection, like the silt fence and all that, or would you?
I'm not quite sure what we would survey. Right now,
Yeah.
you've got a structure there. You're going to take the structure down, and it's just going to be grass.
Yeah, so
I don't
me
think an
personally-
as-built is necessary.
I feel comfortable with, I would feel comfortable approving this just because it's going from a non-permeable surface to a permeable surface. And I think that's an improvement.
I have to agree with you as well, Matt.
Right. And I agree with Matt also. The grass will be much better than a dilapidated tennis court.
That's for sure.
Does anyone feel that a bond is necessary?
No, I don't. I mean, what can they mess up? The grass is either going to grow or it's not. It's a little late in the season right now. Other than you couldn't tell by today's weather, but you're late in the season.
Yeah, I think that today's weather is just about good, I think.
So, Mr. Chairman, the options for the agency this evening are to ask questions, take no action, issue a jurisdiction, not issue a jurisdiction ruling, issue a permit, request additional information, require a site walk.
Can we do a jurisdictional ruling on this, Mary Rose?
I'm sorry, Jim, no, it doesn't meet the criteria.
Okay.
It's a typo.
Does anyone feel a sidewalk is necessary?
Through you,
Not
Mr.
really.
Chair. Mary Rose, one of the options is an approval. Is that not correct? Or
That is correct. Let's
That is correct.
approve the application.
I would move to approve.
I agree, Matt.
Yeah, I would second with Matt as well.
Let's see,
Mr. or Matthew.
Matt, you gotta read the motion.
yeah,
Got it. I just wanted to make sure that there was no discussion.
we're just getting ready to ask that. I think all comments have been made. Would somebody like to make a motion, please?
Yep, I'll make the
That-
motion. Sorry.
I believe it's page 5. On the notes. At the top.
You want me to read the motion?
Sorry, I thought I was speaking.
No, that's all right. Matt,
Mr. Chairman, after duly considering all relevant factors, I move to approve application IW-23-0060, 85 Viscount Drive, based on the site sketch and the information in the file, and presented at the meetings. That is my motion.
I will second that.
What about conditions?
Yeah, you gotta read the rest of the motion.
Sorry, yes. Do you want me to repeat the motion or just add that in?
Through you, Mr. Chair. There's additional conditions proposed if the agency
I didn't-
so chooses to put them on the application.
All right. Let's have a discussion on the motion. There is one. Let's go through the conditions. The permittee must submit a construction plan prior to taking out the permit. Does anybody feel that's a necessary condition?
Oh, you're gonna take out the tennis court and the fencing and plant grass.
Correct.
Agreed.
Okay. So do you want to add that as a condition?
Well, I guess we could, but it's the project, period.
Okay, then we'll just leave it the way it is. They did the soil erosion and sedimentation controls. That, Mary Rose, has that been,
They have proposed erosion controls around the work area. The condition, which is one of your standard conditions, is referring to the erosion control manual. In case those erosion controls fail, the contractor or the applicant has a site to go to look for what the next level of erosion control would be to protect the site.
Well, just comment, don't you think the grass that's surrounding that is, if they use pertinent measures, they're gonna take out the asphalt, spread some loam and seed it. I mean, I don't see where we're gonna get erosion.
There are wetlands and a pond close to here, Jim, so
Oh,
silt
okay.
fencing or core fiber logs are appropriate in this place.
Okay, I didn't realize there was a pond near it.
would someone like to add that condition in there, please?
I can add everything in.
Yeah.
Do you want me to just reread the motion? Would that make sense? Or do you want me to start from
Yeah,
the?
what does the agency feel? You think it might be a good idea to reread the motion? With the
Yeah,
addition?
why don't we just start from the beginning and
Okay.
reread it?
All right, let's do that.
Mr. Chairman, after duly considering all relevant factors, I move to approve application IW-23-0060, 85 Viscount Drive, based on the site sketch and the information in the file, and presented at the meetings for the following reasons. The adjacent wetlands and water courses, if a feasible and prudent alternative does not exist because there is no, with conditions including the permittee must submit a construction plan prior. See, do we not need this stuff in? See, this is why I got confused. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Put it in.
To taking out the permit, soil erosion and sedimentation controls as outlined on the plans and in the CTDEP 2002 erosion and sedimentation control guidelines must be installed and maintained on the site until the property is stabilized. This approval does not include additional fill above the existing elevation.
Okay, I think we just need the dates for the permit.
The permit is issued 10/4/23, expires 10/4/28 unless otherwise provided by statute. That is my motion.
And I will second that.
We have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Lisa, will you please call the roll?
Can I just say one thing? I just want to clarify. Are you
Sure.
keeping in the permittee must submit a construction plan prior to taking out the permit, or are you eliminating that?
We'll leave it in. I don't think it's gonna take much. I think Mary Rose can handle that. They're gonna have to submit it to her anyway.
Okay. Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors.
Aye.
Heather Donaldson Gladue,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Poole.
Thank you. I appreciate all your help.
Moving on, D3, Mary Rose.
This is item IW 230061. It's 104 Edgewater Place. It's a proposal by Brent and Deidre Arts for construction of a single-family home within 150 feet of a wetland in the Wepawag River watershed. The wetlands are located off-site on the City of Milford right-of-way in the edge of Edgewater Place. These wetlands were identified and located in April of 2004 by Roy Shook as a concave depression with Phragmites. In 2005, the Wetland Agency approved access to this lot over the unimproved city right-of-way. On April 17th, 23, William Kenny Associates identified the wetland as a small, isolated Phragmites dominated wetland. At the last meeting, the applicant gave his presentation and I'm sorry, lost my place. And we asked for additional erosion and sedimentation controls around the offsite wetland to protect it during construction, specifically for the access drive and the installation of the sewer line. The revised plans were received last week and are in the document links along with Mr. Kenny's no wetland impact statement. At the last meeting, the agency determined that a site walk was not necessary for this application. This evening, Mr. Chairman, you have Attorney Kevin Kersaden, William Kenny, professional wetland scientist, engineer Ron Wasmer, and architect John Wicko, along with the property owners, Brenton and Deidre Arch, to answer your questions.
Thank you. Would any of you gentlemen, I'll let you pick who, like to make a statement at this time?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Kevin Kersaden, 3 Lafayette Street here in Milford. The only statement I would like to make is that we have with us this evening, as Mary Rose had pointed out, Mr. Kenny and Mr. Wasmer, who were unable to attend the first meeting. So if there's any outstanding questions, those gentlemen are here, as is John Wicko and the property owners as well. We believe that it's a fairly simple application and that the evidence in the record supports the approval, but we're pending that. We're just here to answer your questions and ask you if you could approve this tonight if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Did any of the other representatives of the applicant have anything to say at this time?
Wasmer, I'll just put some information in as part of the record. My name is Ronald Wasmer. I'm a professional engineer, land surveyor, representing Brent Arts in this application. I'm the surveyor and the site engineer for this application. I prepared the existing condition survey, the grading, drainage and utility plan, the sedimentation and erosion control plan, various site construction details. The property is quite flat. There's minimal potential for sedimentation or erosion control. The plans were reviewed by the city engineer on September 21st, 2023. The city engineer's recommendations were to add a second row of silt fence along the harbor and additional sedimentation erosion control protection to the wetlands just off the property in Edgewater Place. The plans were revised and resubmitted, adding this additional sedimentation and erosion control features. And, here to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kenny, you have anything to add?
No, not at this time. Pleased to answer any questions that you might have. But
Great, thank you very much. Open it up to the commissioners. Anybody have any questions, thoughts, comments?
Well, it looks pretty straightforward to me.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I agree with John that I think it's pretty straightforward and it's an upgrade to the property. I think we should approve it tonight.
Mr. Chairman, if I can ask one question of Mr. Kenny?
Certainly.
Uh, Hi, Bill. In your report, you basically, this wetland is basically a depression that was created probably when they put the sewer line in. The quality of the wetland, can you speak to that just for the record, and the plantings in there? I think we have a monoculture of Phragmites.
yes, so yes, this all along the waterfront on the eastern part of the harbor in this area, the bulkheads were put in many, many decades ago and backfilled. And so this area is pretty much filled up and down north to south. This site and sites to the north and south. And they pitch this site and some others, they pitch actually from the water edge back slightly, just only about 6 inches or so across the property, so that there was this depression, this low-lying area that formed, and it's surrounded by gravel between Edgewater Place, the road, and parking for the various parcels. And there's just this remnant little area that hadn't been paved with gravel over time, so wetland formed there. But it's a very low grade. It's basically functioning as a rain garden of sorts, low biofilter. But Phragmites is the vegetation, common reed grass, that it's probably 99% Phragmites, and which at this location, it's a good water quality plant. It has a lot of stem density that helps with cleaning water. But otherwise, this wetland, due to its size and location, is not of great value, or it's very low functioning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, this is Ranjit. Just a quick question. So I see there is a wall. Is that wall existing? Is right left of that stone one?
In here,
Yeah, that's his top wall and bottom wall. Is that existing wall?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's all.
Anyone else? Okay. What's the agency's pleasure here?
And Steve, may I make a motion?
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, after duly considering all relevant factors, I move to approve application IW-23-0061, 104 Edgemont Place, based on the plans entitled Benton Artez, 104 Edgewater Place, Milford, Connecticut, by CT Civil Group, 4 sheets dated 8/9/23, sheet ES1 revised 9/25/23. The information in the file presented this evening for the following reasons. 1 minute here. This action will have no impact or effect on the physical characteristics of the adjacent wetlands and watercourses. If the appropriate and a feasible prudent alternative does not exist. With conditions including the permittee must submit a construction plan prior to taking out the permit. Soil erosion and sedimentation controls as outlined in the plans and in the Connecticut DEP 2002 erosion and sedimentation control guidelines. must be installed and maintained on the site until the property is stabilized. Wetland notification to be placed on the as-built and in the property deed to give notification to property owners that permits are required for the MIWA to work on the site. Documentation to be submitted to the MIWA office prior to bond release. Compliance with city engineers requirements for a stormwater. Stormwater treatment must be installed as approved on the plans unless any changes are approved in writing prior to make this change. A bond of $6,175 must be placed with the MIWA or S&E controls and an as-built showing finished 2-foot contours and locating all site structures. The permittee must submit a certification by the project engineer that the completed project meets the design intent of the approval prior to bonds being released. The permit is issued 10/4/23, expires 10/4/28 unless otherwise provided by statute. That is my motion.
And I will second that.
We have a motion. We have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Lisa, would you call the roll, please?
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors.
Aye.
Heather Donaldson Gladue,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, gentlemen. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
For your time.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary Rose, does the applicant for item D1, have they arrived?
No, they have not.
Can we proceed on to another section? To read?
Yes, I believe we can.
We can, okay. Actually, I think our motion said that we would just take, well, actually, the motion as worded was okay. Anyway, we will hold D1 in advance for the moment. We'll look at new business. Under new business, we have a proposed inland wetland meeting dates for 2024. That's our new calendar for the next year. Mary Rose, you said there were a couple of situations for that.
Yes, there are. I apologize. This is not in your notes. I messed up. I didn't put it in there. So on your screens right now is the proposed calendar for 2024. Wetland Agency does the first and third Wednesdays, as you're quite familiar with. Those are highlighted in red on the screen. We have a couple of conflicts. The first meeting of the year falls before the first aldermanic meeting. We have a couple of members that are whose terms are expiring. Chairman Magnan, Heather Donaldson Gladue, and we have a vacant space. I'm sorry, I'm not sure we've informed you that Dave DeFlumery has resigned. Excuse me. And then we have a vacant position for alternate under both the Board of Aldermen and the mayor positions. Matt Connors has moved into Lisa Tryon's vacated position. So we have some positions that would be open. We might not have a full membership at the meeting on January 3rd. So ways we can get around this is to schedule the January 3rd meeting. And if we don't have business, not hold the meeting. The first meeting of the year is our organizational meeting where the board is elected, the executive board. We could schedule the first meeting and hold it if it's only necessary. We could schedule the meetings in that month for the second and the fourth Wednesdays. Messes everybody up. They're used to the first and third. And I guess we could potentially look at holding the elections later in the month if we're waiting for a full slate.
I don't think it's earth shattering to do it the 10th and 24th.
Well, I need to be able to get a quorum on those days. So I'm checking with the folks who would have to show up to see if that's okay with them.
It's okay with me.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah. Okay, who would not be on? Who? Heather and.
Well, they'll be on. They serve until they're reappointed.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So they'll be there.
Can they vote?
I believe they can,
Okay,
Can you wait to decide until the December 18th meeting and if you want to have the January 3rd?
Yeah, I think that's one of the options is to just schedule first and third and then hold them only as necessary. Because we do have a tendency to, we get a little slow right after the holidays. We have a tendency to cancel in January and February. So it's kind of what the agency would like. We can just go first and third. The other conflict is July 3rd. Typically, there's fireworks and family picnics and other likes. I don't know that we'll have a lot of applicants, let alone a lot of commissioners. But again, we can leave it on the calendar and cancel it and hold a special meeting on another date if it's truly necessary.
Sounds fine.
yeah, I think we've done meetings 2 weeks in a row. I believe. I know we did a hearing once, or no, I take that back. No,
We
that
did a hearing on a Friday once because we
Yeah.
needed it, so.
yeah.
So what I'm hearing, and I guess it would be as proposed, would be to accept the calendar as proposed for the first and third Wednesdays and rearrange them if necessary.
Yeah, Mary Rose, I just have one question. What's the statutory requirement for notification of the change of a meeting date? Doesn't have to be
So
published or something.
statutorily, we have to get our calendar into the city clerk and city clerk's office to be filed by December. I typically do it at a meeting where we've got items because you've almost cleared your agenda tonight. If we don't have items for the meeting in November, I don't want to pull you in just to approve your calendar. So we try to do it sometime in the fall. So we'll have this in a timely manner. When we cancel a meeting, we need to give 24 hours notice. When we hold a special meeting, we need to give 24 hours notice.
Okay. So
The difference with a special meeting is we cannot have, there's no public comments. It's just whatever the meeting's for, whatever that item is. So there's
Okay.
no my report or anything else.
all right, so if, for instance, on December 28th, we had something came up that we'd normally hear on the 3rd, or, well, okay, no, as long, I know we've changed things with very little time before the meeting, and we've changed meeting dates. We also, one time, as I remember, we changed the meeting room and didn't post it properly, and we ended up having to cancel that meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. Which kind of, well, whatever. All right, well, what's the agency's choice? I would think maybe we just accept the
Let's leave it up to
calendar.
Mary Rose and we'll work it out because we need a quorum, so
Yeah,
we need to have people approved by the city clerk that are reappointed.
yeah. Well, I would be there. I don't have a problem. I mean, Jim, you said you'd be there.
Yes,
Heather, Julie, Dan, Rajit.
well, I think
Sounds okay for me. I just took a new promotion at work, so my schedule's kind of crazy.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so you're gonna need to approve a calendar, so you can modify it or you can approve it as proposed.
I think we should approve it as proposed and modify it if we have to.
All right,
Okay,
I second that, Jim.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Lisa, would you call the roll, please?
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors,
Aye.
Heather Donaldson Gladue,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Let's see, next item is F. still holding on D1. We have, let's see, I will look for a motion to, or any motion to accept the minutes of the September 20th, 2023 meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept the minutes from the September 20th, 2023 public hearing and regular meeting as presented or as amended. That is my motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Just that I had written that incorrectly. It was not a public hearing, so it would just be a regular meeting. That's my Scrivener's error.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors,
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Heather Donaldson Gladue,
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously with one abstention, Matt Connors. Okay, before we get to the staff report, Mary Rose, is anybody from the D1 item shown up?
No, they have not, Mr. Chairman. Do you want to roll back and do that, and then we can finish up with staff report, or you want to do staff report first?
Why don't we go back and do D1 first? Mary Rose, could you please read the item?
This is, hold on, to get there.
We'll get to it.
This is item D1, IWC 23005, violation 1 Avalon Drive. This is a violation that was issued on July 17th to Marin Residential for clearing work in and within 100 feet of a wetland and watercourse in the Indian River watershed. At the meeting on 9/20, the agency required several items of the property owner. I'm going to list those items and then give you an update on where we stand. Sorry. The agency required that they submit a mitigation monitoring bond calculation by 10/1. They submitted it yesterday. It was missing some information. Some of it came in, some of it didn't. We should have that handled by tomorrow. The rough calculation for the bond is approximately $11,000. Item 2 was to obtain and submit approval from the city planner and the planning and zoning board for this change to the plan that was approved by a stipulated court agreement. Get that to us by November 15th. Today, Jim Capra emailed the city planner. The city planner stated, and I think I'm sharing it on your screen. I may or may not be. Hold on a second. There we go. Had emailed the city planner, asking him if they could waiver from the approved stipulated plan. The planner stated that the original plantings need to be in place per that approval. The original approval had approximately 53 plantings in the area that was cleared, where JMM plan had about 29 plants for the agency to approve. The original approval did not permit clearing in the wetland area, so there was no plantings proposed there at that time. Jim McManus's plan recommended the New England conservation wetland seed mixture be applied in the wetland area that it was cleared. The third item was to submit the required mitigation monitoring bond by 10/14/23. As the planting requirement has increased, does the agency want to increase the planting and mitigation bond requirement? The property owner would like the bond waived. They don't want to post the bond. You normally would require a bond to ensure that the plantings are installed and maintained for a minimum of 3 years, with invasive removal as necessary for planting survival. and reports to the agency on the status of the mitigation. Mr. Capra did send an email earlier in the day requesting a waiver and saying that they were planning on signing an agreement with JMM, who designed the mitigation plan, to do monitoring for 3 years, but they don't have that in place as of yet. The agency required that we install the plantings and seed mixtures, that they install the plantings and seed mixtures that are in the mitigation monitoring report by 10/15 as the normal planting date for this area. This will be amended to have the plantings as originally approved with the addition of the new conservation wetland mixture in the wetland area, per the city planner's email. And you had required that they submit the mitigation monitoring reports by the professional scientist at planting and installation, and then twice a year for 3 years, on the status of the plantings and any invasive control that's required for those plantings to survive and thrive. Jim Capra stated that they will be entering into an agreement, but they have not as of yet with the consultants. And the agency said they would modify the order if needed based on the planning and zoning review. Planning and zoning has put on record that they need to modify this back to the original approved planting plan. When I spoke with Mr. Capra today, he said he had a meeting at 6:30 and he would join afterwards. He said that the plantings are going to go in this Friday. They need to find the plantings that, as per the original plan, in order to do that. We typically would require bonding for the plantings and 3 years of monitoring to ensure the plants are maintained and survive. And then after 3 years of monitoring shows the site is stable, the bond can be released. Initial estimates are around $11,168. The agency receives bonds as either surety, which is a type of insurance where you pay a portion of it to the insurance agency and they issue us a bond, or they can issue a certified check that will hold and be deposited. So this evening, they were apparently unable to attend. And the agency's options are you can ask me questions. You're going to need to modify the violations to incorporate the city planner's requirements. And I don't advocate releasing the violation at this time.
Okay, before I open it up to the agency, I just want to get something clarified, Mary Rose.
Yep.
The bond estimate of $11,168.30, is that considering, is that bond calculated with all of the 50 some odd plants saying they want done?
No, it does not. That was based on the information I had at the time, which was the 29 plantings. And they had forgotten to include the seed
Okay.
mixture. I
So
priced
really
out
the
the seed
11,100
mixture and added it in.
Okay, so the 11,168 is not really sufficient then, is it?
That's really about half. It's half the amount of plants.
Yeah, so actually that number is almost meaningless to us, I think. It would have to be recalculated anyway, I think.
Should we table this till the next meeting when they can be here?
Well, let's find out what the agency would wish to do. Mary Rose did mention that we may have to modify the requirements here. What's the agency's feeling about this? We could take no action, I suppose. That is let me just stop back again. Mary Rose, what are our options?
Your options are to modify the violation, release the violation, or take no action. I would advise at least modifying the violation to include the city planner's requirements because
Okay.
we approved the planting plan by JMM based on Jim McManus's information at the time. And we left part of the motion open that we would modify it if the Planning and Zoning Board didn't agree with the planting plan. We'll also need to change the dates because the bond calculation will need to be in by a different date. Mr. Capper did say this afternoon that they were going to still try to plant by Friday, which would be great. I'm sorry, not Friday, the 15th, which I think is appropriate for this season, this time of year, these kind of plants. The seed might not take till the spring, but it would be monitored by the consultant.
I think we should make a motion to modify it with everything that you just said, Mary Rose.
Okay, so submit a bond calculation by today's the 4th, by the 10th.
Yeah, give them a week, maybe.
And then they'd have to submit the bond by the 14th, the day before they start work, so that we've got the bond in house. Install the plantings still by the 15th. But they would be the plantings per the original approved plans, and including the New England wetland conservation seed mixture as required in the monitoring report. Because that area wasn't disturbed originally, so it had no planting requirements.
So I have,
Sounds good to me. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I have a question. So if we don't take any action tonight, and so we approved a certain amount of plantings, but they're being told they have to do more plantings. Do they need to come back to us with an additional plan that shows all of the plantings, or can they move forward and continue to do the plantings as they were told that they need to go back to the original plan?
I'm gonna share my screen real quick. This was the original planting plan. If you can see my mouse, I'm over here by the pool. The clearing is roughly to this cluster of 3 trees, and then down on an angle to the wetland, to this angle, if you can see the angle I'm scribing. So all the plants in here is what they're now required to put back. You know, the trees here and this, they need to put it back the way the zoning board approved it. We're most concerned about the plantings in this area. And the original site work, if you look at the aerials from 2004, had silt fencing in this area to protect the wetland. This area, the shaded area, has been cleared now. So I advocate for the seed mixture here to put this back and to try to keep the invasives down to let those plants survive. And the city planner has required that these plants all go back.
So we have no say, like they don't need to come back to us with any further planning. Like when they start doing their planning, they can just start planning with the plan that you have presented here in terms of what the city came back with. So we're not going to hold up their getting things planted before because we're on a timeline here for getting things planted. They'll be able to do everything that's being asked of them without
Yes.
our involvement.
Yeah, correct. The
Okay.
motion would say that you install the plantings per the original approved plans. Their only hurdle is going to be finding these plants this late in the season.
Right.
The nurseries haven't, normally the nurseries will pull those things when they know a big order's coming in. So they may have to work with the city planner on substitutions, which I will be involved in.
And then one more question, if I may, in regards to waiving the bond. I mean, that's not in our interest to allow that. Like we have no reason to grant that, or is there a reason that we would?
Mary Rose, may I interject something here?
Yeah.
I have found over the years that people aren't quite clear about what bonds are. They're not insurance. They're financial guarantees. All a bond does really is say if somebody doesn't do what they're supposed to do, and we got to do it, we're going
We
to
got
get
the
paid.
money to do it.
The money comes from the bonding company. The bonding company goes and gets it back from the person who took out the bond. The bond's not insurance. In insurance, you do something wrong, the insurance company pays, that's it, that's the end of it. Bonds, that's not the way it works. The bonding company pays, but then they go back and get the money. All it's really doing is they're making it possible for the work to be done by somebody else. That's really all it does. Now, in this particular case, I think there's just too much involved here to waive the bond.
Yes.
And the only reason I'm interjecting this, because it's really not the chair's place to do that kind of thing at this point, is because over time I found people don't really quite get how bonds work. I've been in the insurance business for 50 years, so I sort of know a lot of that stuff. But it's not insurance, even though insurance agencies do it. Insurance companies issue the bonds a lot of time. It's a financial instrument, just like an insurance policy. So that's the only point. I mean, I think given that perspective, that's what you have to be looking at when you decide whether or not you want to waive, bonding. I personally don't think we should, but the agency can do what it wants.
The bond is kind of a leverage point to make sure it's done properly.
Another way of putting it, yeah.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, every situation's different also, so it's not like we don't. I've said that so many times I can't count. So it's not always something we should just automatically say, no, we're not going to waive the bond. I think we can always consider it. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt that. Should have held on that, actually. Does anybody else have any, or Mary Rose, do you think that pretty much covers the well, what else do we have that's needed in the
motion? Do you want me to read that back to you?
I can make the motion too.
Okay, Matthew, why don't you do it?
Mr. Chairman, I move that cease and desist order IWC-23-0005 1 Avalon Drive be modified to require that the property owner be ordered to submit a mitigation monitoring bond calculation by 10/10/2023, submit the required mitigation monitoring bond by 10/14/2023, install the plantings per the original approved plans and New England Conservation Wetland seed mixture as required in the mitigation monitoring report by 10/15/2023, submit mitigation monitoring reports by professional wetland scientists and planting installation and twice a year for 3 years by June 30th and November 30th on the status of the plantings and any invasive control that is required. That is my motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Who was that? Jim?
That's Jim.
Jim Connors. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Lisa, would you call the roll, please?
Ranjit Bahav,
Aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors.
Aye.
Heather Donaldson Gladue. Heather.
Aye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Moving for the next meeting.
We are at item
Staff
G, staff report.
Mary Rose?
Okay, the item that I unfortunately left off, and I'm going to email it to you after the meeting, is that next Wednesday evening, the Mayor Smith is having a board and commission fair at City Hall. It's going to be on the 11th from 6:30 to 8:30 in person. It's the event will feature presentations from current board and commission members who will provide insights into their roles, responsibilities, and the impact they have on the community. Chairman Magnan and I are going to present for inland wetlands, but all are welcome at this event. The idea the mayor has is that, you know, he has a number of positions to fill on a variety of boards and commissions. Whoever's elected in November will have those same positions to fill. And this is an opportunity for members of the public to come out and hear what the different boards and commissions do, to see if their interests align and if they'd like to volunteer and do their civic duty. So in the email I'll send you, there'll be a link for the blurb the mayor has on the city website about this. So if you know anyone who may want to also serve on a board or commission, there's a number of boards that have openings at the current time. But I'd like to ask, and Brendan and I would like to ask, is there anything that you'd like potential commissioners for wetlands to know? And you can answer me an email or you can answer me now, whatever sounds good to you. Okay, we'll email that out to you. The Kakawika meeting is on November 11th. It's Veterans Day. They still have not posted where it's going to be, just that it runs from registration is from 8 to 8:45 and the meeting runs until 3:30. It's an all-day educational meeting somewhere in the state. And I will get that out to you as soon as possible. If you could, and I'll probably Taft and I will pester you to find out if you want to go, because it takes us quite a bit of time to get checks cut to go to training. The city will pay for you and to go. It's a good experience if you haven't been before. And there's a variety of tracks to see. South Central Regional Council of Governments also has training lined up on October 12th. And it's a hybrid 4-hour training workshop for land use commissioners. This is in your notes, so the links are there if you'd like to register. The planning and zoning boards have a requirement in the statute now to have 4 hours of training a year. Wetland commissioners don't have that requirement as of yet. We have the requirement to take the training that you all have on digitally online. But this is being run by Lula, which is out of Circa. And it's map reading, it's parliamentary procedures, it's a variety of things. And if I understand it, they're doing it in 1 hour increments. So if there's something you're interested, you can sign in for that. You don't have to sit through the whole thing. And you can also go in person up to the SCROG offices if you'd like, off of Washington Avenue in North Haven. So that's in the notes if you're interested. If you need help or anything with registering, please let Taft or I know. Spotter lanternfly, information on what to do if you see them. Tree of Heaven, Department of Ag is waging a war on them. They want them all to go away because they're feeding the spotter lanternfly. I was on a site today where there was like 6 of them that were totally dead and denuded. And the builder was having the spotted lanternfly were all over their rebar. So there's a problem. And community development had a meeting on the 20th and the 26th about the strategic development plan. There's a link on the notes to the slides. And if you have any input on that, you can email Julie Nash, who's the economic development director. And other than that, your reference materials are on the page that Taft made. Link is in the notes. We've got one site that's changing from a infiltrator system to a rain garden. Other sites are trying to tidy up and get their bonds released for the fall. By the next meeting, we should have our fall reports from those folks who need them. And that's pretty much it.
So what if I make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, Mary Rose, before we do the motion to adjourn, I'd just like to add something regarding some of the comments I made about bonds before. One of the things that we should always keep in mind with bonds is that by the nature of what they are, they tie up the assets of the person who's required to give the bond. So they really like to get them off the books as fast as they can. Point about the bond is it's an inducement kind of to get people to get work done on time and on schedule and all that kind of thing, because technically speaking, people are only, or companies or people are only allowed to get bonds up to the value of their assets. That's what insurance companies, bonding companies look at when they issue bonds. Does that person have the assets to pay off that bond? When all your assets are tied up in other bonds, they have trouble getting bonds, so they like to get rid of them. Just pointing that out because it's kind of it's something that may come up, and I think has come up in the past, is people want to get the bonds released before the work is 100% done. I think Mayor Rose, I think the one over on Tanglewood, it was 97% done, and he wanted the bond released. I think we did it. For 3% wasn't that much. I mean, so that's an important thing to realize about bonds, is they're an inducement for people to get the work done, so they free up their assets. Anyway, just thought I would bring that out so that people have full understanding what they are. Anyway, is there a motion to adjourn?
We just need to put on the record that the next meeting is October 4th.
I'm sorry. Yes, the next meeting is October.
Today is October 4th,
It is
correct?
October 4th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is October.
It didn't sound right there.
Yeah.
That would make the next meeting the, hold on, should be the 18th.
18th,
What was that?
the
Sorry.
18th.
18th.
18, yes, 14 days. Next meeting is October 18th.
Thank you.
Also,
Sorry about
also
that.
by Zoom. It's going to be by Zoom, right?
Yes.
Until further notice.
Okay, so now I can make my motion to adjourn.
Yes, you may.
And I'll second it.
Thank you, Heather.
Have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
Lisa,
Thank
call
you.
the roll. Lisa?
Ranjit,
Yeah, aye.
Daniel Bedecker,
Aye.
Jim Connors,
Aye.
Matthew Connors,
Aye.
Heather,
Bye.
Julie Valvo,
Aye.
Steve Munson.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, everyone.
We are adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Lindsay, we're all set.